Community Spotlight, powered by ATB Wealth Kelowna. Ready to take a powerful step towards the future you want today? Connect with local advisors at ATB Wealth Kelowna to get started.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Community Spotlight, where we highlight people and organizations making a difference in our community. And a big shout out, thank you to ATB Wealth for making this happen. We can't do this without them. I haven't done this in a couple weeks, so I'm super excited that today I get to talk football, but the real football. Not the Canadian football, North American football. So I have Ezra and Crystal here from Kelowna City Football Club. You guys, thank you. Welcome to the show.
Hey,
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
And it is the real football.
It is the real football. You know, we respect Canadian football.
We're going to get hate mail.
We are. We're already getting comments down below.
That's right. So thank you for joining. I know we were chatting before we came on air, and I think I said we should just went live with our conversation. But maybe we can start. I was listening to some podcasts that you guys are doing, kind of looking at your story a little bit, and I'm always curious what inspired this, like where the origin story is. And I picture you guys sitting at a dinner table or kids playing soccer and like, we're going to do our own thing. Like, so how did this story, like, how did this come about? How did this, you know, I want to say business, but.
Yeah, you know what, great question.
Yeah.
To be honest, I got tricked into this. So being a head coach of youth soccer was my career for 10, 12 years.
Okay.
It was my life as a player and as a coach till 2017. And then I decided I have to get a real job because I have kids.
Right.
Evenings, weekends is super challenging.
Right.
And so I took a step back. And I had some colleagues nudge me.
Yeah.
Because what's changed in Canada soccer is you can have private clubs and nonprofit, otherwise known as amateur clubs, all under the same umbrella as Canada Soccer, BC Soccer.
Got it.
And a bit of the recipe that we've had for many years, they're saying, hey, and with the relationship with the Vancouver Whitecaps, hey, can you be a silent, quiet owner and just stick handle? And that was the trick, and that's when, you know, Kelowna City FC was born. I have many domains on GoDaddy, and that was one of them we still had. And fast forward till now, it's exploding, it's exciting, and we're deep in operations and really loving what we're doing.
That's awesome. So it's, I'm assuming you have kids in soccer?
Yes.
How many kids?
3.
And they all play soccer?
They all play soccer.
Football, I should say football,
Yeah.
soccer,
Yeah.
and
They all play footy, for sure, yes.
They do. So I'm curious, like from your background, did you play football? Did you guys play soccer, either of you, growing up, I assume? And like, was that part of sort of your?
Yeah, that's exactly how I got into this, where I got pushed at a very young age at a high level.
Right.
And in the end, it was very negative coaching, but it got the best out of me. I was also living in Nanaimo. Shout out to Nanaimo United, one of the oldest clubs in Canada.
Love it.
And where I had to go to Vancouver 3 times a week. And both my parents are immigrants, middle-class folks, couldn't afford it.
Right.
So my paper route wasn't doing it anymore. So why not coach football as a way to supplement my ability to go play in Vancouver?
Interesting.
And the recipe was going, hey, why can't we teach a really technical way of playing? Because if the kids believe they can play, they'll play forever, is our mentality.
Right.
And but in a positive way. And I started a private academy in 1996. I was 14 years old. Called Ezra Soccer World, super cute and corny. And within 2 years, we had over 500 players in Nanaimo in a private setting, and that's kind of was the foundation of playing leading into coaching.
Interesting. So what brought you guys to the Okanagan from the island?
I have a completely different story. Like for me, I played recreational sports in school, but my passion comes from early learning. I'm an early childhood educator. I used to have a mindfulness early learning center here in the Okanagan, and the year we closed that down, we built Kelowna City FC. So my passion is the early years with children, player development, bringing in mindfulness through sports, really connecting the mind, the body through active lifestyle. So I'm a big component in, I keep touching my mic.
That's okay.
In really bringing community together, bringing that passion for that depth in who we are, what we're bringing our children into. So I get goosebumps when I talk about the foundation of that. So coming together with passion, he has more of the technical side of it, but I bring in a lot of just heart into our community, and we'll kind of get into that when we talk about what we've been working on and what's coming next.
And I think it's interesting because I mean, sports in general build more than just kicking the ball around or shooting the puck, right? It's about playing on teams and responsibility and sticking up for your team. There's a whole bunch of life skills, like even to the point that we look at when someone hands a resume and they play like high-level sports, they get a bigger check mark than other people, because I know the commitment you've had to take to play like at a high, it doesn't matter what it is, it could be gymnastics or football or hockey. If you're playing at a high level, there's a commitment there, right? There's structure. And we talked about you deal with different type of coaches. Some you might not like. You still got to go on the field and put your best out. Absolutely. Right. So
yeah, and the key there is we've got core values, and you nailed it, is resilience. And how do you teach resilience in a very safe atmosphere? We do have competitive teams, but we're also very excited. We have recreational teams where, going back to giving these kids the skills, they will stay healthy and active, most likely for life, through the game of football. That if they quit for 10 years because of life, they'll see that co-ed soccer game and go, hey, can meet some new friends, stay healthy, and because I have the skills. For me, building that community and going back to that resilience factor, how important is that for, I call it the real world, and trying to get a job, for example? Yeah,
no, for sure. I'm assuming, we were saying before we came on, you're not doing this for the bank account. So talk a little bit about the struggles. So you guys have been operational for how long now? 7, 9, how many?
No, so we're quite new. And
you are
Crystal,
new.
Yeah,
okay.
So this is virtually our 3rd season, Crystal.
Okay.
2 years under the BC Soccer umbrella, where we have teams against other clubs.
Okay.
And in the end, the biggest piece is what we're trying to do is just build upon what's already here. Right. There's other clubs here. There's different philosophies, and under the private sector, it's definitely not for the money. I think I don't think I've taken a paycheck at all, and I don't think I will, to be honest with you. But we're able to move quickly. There's not that bureaucratic tape. And when we want to make a move, we do. So for example, if we want to build a 10,000 square foot building and we have a barbecue and a discussion, 6 months later, 10,000 square foot indoor facility for the community, for example.
Interesting. So you can speak a little bit about that. You guys have a facility in Rutland.
He makes it sound so easy.
Yeah, it's like,
over a barbecue, we
flip some
just
steaks, have a hamburger, we're good.
Yeah. We know who the dreamer is, and you can answer it, because she's the doer, trust me.
The beautiful piece of this is we always had a vision of having a place, a home for every person.
Right.
And in the community, sometimes that could be challenging, right? Brick and mortar is hard to come by. And so we continue to work through community partnerships to get our foundation. And it's a lot of forward movement, developing relationships. We'll continue to do that. But the piece that was missing is, where is our home? We are a professional private club with no home. And so when we were pushed to a state of, we need to make a decision now to create this foundation, because we can't really 110% rely on all partnerships to pull through on their end, puts us into a very vulnerable state. So when we have the vision, the Northern Star, where we're headed, there's that edge, because it's pretty scary, right? You're thinking, okay, we're almost 3 years, 2nd year in the league playing, we're building brick and mortar, we're gonna do this. So we asked our community, what level of commitment are you willing to commit to us? And we made a big decision in our business to go with year-round training, year-round packaging. So we understood all of our members that said, we're here, we're ready for that commitment. And then we said, well, we're ready too. And we came together as a partner in the community with our members and renovated a 10,000 square foot soccer factory. We've got 8,500 square feet of FIFA approved turf. We have washrooms, we have a viewing area. This is our home.
And a barbecue.
And this is our home where we can invite into our home every player. There's a person or a place in our community for every person. And this is the foundation we get to grow upon. So I decided that I was going to take on general contracting role. I put on a new hat, but this is a skill set that I've kind of dabbled in a little bit with home renovations, but I brought in, contractors for certain pieces, sub-trades through it. And the reason we were able to do the renovation is because I donated a lot of our time to make it happen, some personal investments, but we had to keep it under that threshold to be reasonable for our members in a business model. So we're very excited about that.
Well, congrats on that. I'm sure. So is that, the facility's done, or is it always sort of a work in progress, or is it you're happy where it's at?
We're good right now. We have to do some outdoor painting and some lines on the concrete.
So anyone that wants to paint,
And but we're here to celebrate the football factory, a place for every player, and really just this is our home for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years.
Love it. So how do you mentioned that there's obviously other clubs or associations in the community. So where do you guys see fitting in? Like, how do you work with those other clubs? Do you support them? Do you see players that are going back and forth? Like, how does that work for you guys then?
Yeah, it's always, there's always an outside peripheral that there's competition.
Right.
Right. Fighting for players.
Right.
Where there's lots of players.
Right.
And the idea is, geographically, there's 4, 5, 6 different clubs.
Sure.
But the idea is there's lots of pieces of the pie for everyone. There's the model of one club versus 5.
Right.
I feel if you have 5 different groups developing players and coming together, I think it's great. And we're all at the table. What's happened in previous times where, God bless volunteers, you now have virtually every organization that has professionals, and they're all meeting at the table. Is it an ongoing journey of finding things that we are in common ground? Yes, but when you talk about League One or CPL, these other areas, the common ground is everyone loves football.
Right.
There's lots of players, and there's only more to come. So I think we pay a piece of it, knowing that we are private. We're more of a boutique club, where some other clubs are more grassroots and very large clubs.
Right.
So I think, it's a matter of stick handling that. But what I have seen in 3 years, everyone's leveling up.
For sure.
And that's the best for the players and the parents when it comes to the service that they're providing.
Well, and if they can stay, the passion, the goal, from even from an outsider saying, if we can develop these kids that can stay in the CPL and they can go in the MLS, 100%. And if they can play in Canada, you never said that 20 years ago, that when I played soccer, that wasn't even a thought, right? Having that funnel and that being able to do that at this level is amazing. So I'm curious for you guys, do you follow like a Canada soccer curriculum, for lack of a better word, or how do you develop, because you got both sides. It sounds like on the field, there's the aspect that you talked about earlier as well. So how do you build, I'll call it curriculum for lack of a better word, on how you work with the kids?
Yeah, so maybe I can throw that one is Canada Soccer has a guidelines of how many practices, how many games, based on age that we follow. You don't want to do too many games or burn out an 8-year-old and competitive. So Canada Soccer has a great blueprint there. When it comes to curriculum and what we do, I think that really separates us a little bit from other clubs from that, knowing that Canada Soccer is still in its identity stage as a young country, where we really believe in the technical skills of the Brazilians. Right? Like, let's be real. And we have that relationship with Whitecaps and our head coach, Ariel, who is from Brazil. And that really comes down to the Ronaldinhos and how can we really bring back that street soccer individual skills. I'm a little biased. One of our technical committee members is Dutch. His name's Marco van Lochem. He's coming here in July. Where can we do? We talked food of infusing Korean and Italian. Can we infuse a Dutch style of football when it comes to team play with the technique of the Brazilians? That's who we are and who we are becoming as Kelowna City FC. And the idea is it takes 5-10 years to see it in development, but we're already seeing it very quickly with our players. And they're loving it. You'll see on our social media, our coach was teaching them little bicycle kicks. And they're little 8-year-olds. And guess what? They like it. They see smiles.
For sure.
So that's kind of where we're at. As Canada Soccer really develops its style of play, which we are seeing. It's not all defense anymore. We're seeing some attack and some success. And we're just a very small piece of the puzzle of, if you give these kids the skills in their feet, the goal from Canada Soccer and BC Soccer and us is, can it be soccer for life? In whatever capacity that looks like.
So, Crystal, how do you bring in that other part where you were talking about, like, more of the, I'll talk about the leadership, the mental side, the community side, like, how do you bring that part into the kids and the parents? Because the parents play a role in this as well, right? There's some parents that want to coach from the sideline, I'm sure, but but how do you bring that into that as well then?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So it really starts from the top down. So I work directly with our leadership team. We have an executive team, then we have our coaching team. And the difference with our coaches is we really care about their development as well. So we're really trying to strive for this excellence. So working with our executive team, our leadership team, how can we better support coaching development in the Okanagan, right? A lot of our coaches, all of our coaches are paid, right? So there's a difference between a volunteer structure and a paid structure, a little bit more invested in learning. So it's an ongoing process. And I think it really starts from the top down in a business and organization.
Yeah, fair
it's
enough.
like, what is our mission? What is our values? You know, we went in and we did a little bit of a video regarding that to share with our community to say, hey, here's what we're standing behind, and come with us during this journey. We talked about housekeeping and coaching on the sidelines, and we had a little bit of fun with it. But I think the biggest thing is having conversations like this, sharing our story, sharing our journey, sharing the vision of what we're creating. And then people are like, hey, all these players. My most emotional moment was standing there when the first group of kids walked in, and they looked at me and they said, thanks for building this for us. And it was just like, yes, we're doing this.
Why
but
you do it.
Why do we do it, right? There's a lot of passion put into this. And we also just don't offer things for our club. We have other clubs that come in, they stay with their club, they come for supplemental training, and they start to get what we call the Kelowna City style, right? They kind of get a taste of it. They can come in and sharpen their pencils and head back to their teams. So we include, you know, all clubs in our development as well.
Interesting. So if I had to ask you guys, how do you describe the ethos of Kelowna City FC? What would you say to me? Who are you guys? What makes you who you are?
Yeah, I think one word is passion. Like there is a deep desire and love for football. And that oozes from the top down.
Right.
You know, the kids love it. And if they just love it, if it's through coaching or just excitement, I think you guys see it. We're passionate, excited, and you're just...
No, I don't notice that at all.
It's infectious, you know, we're hitting our microphones with our hands, you know. That's really the difference for us. And it comes down to that level of professionalism and care. It roots at passion, you know. Why do we want brick and mortar? Where the Whitecaps are in the CONCACAF Championship, we're having a viewing party and a game and hanging out.
Oh, super
you know,
cool.
Those kind of things. And you know, I think we're in an era where people are pretty lonely. And what is their, you know, I use the metaphor in religion, where's their temple or their community group? And there's all sorts of different community groups.
100%.
But man, there's like 5,500 adult and youth players. Don't quote me on that. Fact check me. There's a lot. And that brick and mortar brings people together. And it's very European. This is not, I'm not, you know, reinventing the wheel here. You know, you see it in hockey in Canada. Look at all the brick and mortar. And we're just trying to do our little bit. And maybe one day we'll find a Ryan Reynolds that wants to be in Kelowna. Shut up, buddy. You know what I mean? You know, we're just local Kelowna people. What we know is that we're going to be in this community most likely for the next 40, 50 years.
For sure.
And that creates some consistency, and that passion will just is infectious, and we're seeing it, which might be one of our biggest concerns. Is that growth? But we're humbled, and we're just going to keep chipping away.
Yeah, I actually thought Ryan Reynolds might buy the Whitecaps. So can we talk a little bit about like the age groups? Like, do you guys work with all age groups, boys, girls, everything? Like, how many teams are you running, and how much capacity can you have to take on that?
I was just going to say sustainable growth, but Ezra can talk a little bit more on the numbers, because as you're building a club, right, it takes time to kind of develop and build out those teams. But the key with you is like how many teams. We're really focused on sustainable growth to make sure that the quality is still there for existing members. But you can kind of talk about the ages. Yeah, you know what? We start at 3 years old. So introduction to the ball, and just, you know, it's not much. You're running with the ball and just loving it. That's all it is. All the way up to adult football programming. So it's very important. So for example, we have a Division 1 men's team, over 35, Division 3. The goal is to have a team in every division, every gender, also getting into the older age groups. I just learned that there's walking footy, where, you know, and over 55. So we're chipping away at some of the adult programming. Our co-ed league
that we're creating in our factory. That the idea is that there's nothing like seeing your player see the same badge, where they go, hey, mom and dad, well, we're on the same team.
For sure.
And also to see that pathway where historically other clubs, or let's call them just youth clubs, what do you do after 19? Where do you go? I still want to play football. And the idea is that when you enter our club, you never have to look elsewhere, because we'll have a spot for you. Can't guarantee it. You know, right now we're close to about 40 teams, youth and adult. And it'll be interesting where we want to go to, but the key is it's based on relationships. Some people are like, why don't you have a team there? Well, we need the right coach, the right manager, the right person with that relationship to the club, and that's growing quicker than we would like, and that goes back to sustainability, and that's why really focusing on who we are. That's why I use the podcast. It's not about me and my story, but at least know the story on how Kelowna City is and what are our core values. You know, we use one saying, sweep the shed. People go, what's sweep the shed? well, hey, when you're at the factory and you see something out of place, fix it.
Fix it, yeah.
Right? And just creating that community through that leadership channels. And that's been our major focus in the last 3 months, because I don't need to know everyone, but people need to know, okay, who are we and what we stand for.
For sure. I agree 100%.
YouTube blasts, right?
Yeah.
They're like, these guys are doing it differently because we want our message to be heard.
Love it.
Yeah.
So you both wear multiple hats. This isn't your day job, right?
No,
so
definitely not my day job.
And you have kids and family, and you guys probably like to hang out once in a while. So how do you balance all that? Just from where do you fit in? You know, do you just rely on your coaches? Like, how are you involved from this side? Like, how are you guys both involved? Where do you see your guys' roles, and how do you involving from still managing your family, your relationship, your day jobs, and all that fun stuff?
Would you like to go, or would you like me to go? No, you know, for me, over the last year and a half, I have a personal business coach that works with me on goal settings. It's so easy to want to be the doer. Right. You know, I'm a blue collar kid. I'll just cut the grass myself, for example. But that's not always the best utilization of my time. Yeah. So for me personally, I believe everyone should have a coach or some sort of reflection model to ensure that you're reaching your goals. Right. And for me, that's been a game changer. Awesome. You know, really focusing on quarterly goals, annual goals, and making sure you see them every day. I see my goals every single day. Right. Spend time with your family is my major goal. Yeah. Well, if you don't see it, it may not happen. For sure. Fair enough. Where do I see myself is very much in a leadership role. Okay. But I also like to coach my kids and be with my kids. So I'm a little bit multifaceted because my day job in that end is real estate. Our major sponsor, Vantage West Realty. Shout out to AJ Hazy and the group there. So real estate is my day job, and then football at night. Nice. Love it. Love it.
Sandwiching husband and
that's right.
dad and all the other things that he's great at.
Where's your role?
My role is I'm a multifaceted entrepreneur. So I work a lot with the workflow, the automations, the onboardings, the reporting, the risk management, like behind the scenes, the engine. We have an incredible team that we work with, some virtual assistants, some on the ground administrative support as well. And so in this realm of my work, there's just a lot of building and churning behind the scenes. I work directly with our project manager. We're talking about what programs are we launching next? How can we get more soccer into schools? How can we bring it into these daycare centers? How can we make it accessible for kids? So my role is really, I would say, multifaceted entrepreneur. I've spent the last 18 months really diving deep into this business because this business was gracefully, put on my my table, and knowing the history of Ezra Soccer and how we were doing things differently, I really just dove in and said, we need the right team to make this happen. And so I can do the marketing, the digital aspects of the business, the Instagram, work with a team, curating anything from program start with our project manager to delivery to on-field, off-field connection. I am constantly replacing my hats, right? If you ever read Dan Martell's book, Buy Back Your Time, right? Replacement ladder. There you go. There's a plug for you, Dan. But trying to always replace myself in the business as I continue to grow and develop it, because there are times where it's heavier on my plate, and I like to be able to come in and be in that creative vision energy of the business, and ensure we have the right people to do the job that needs to get done.
Love it. Never a dull moment in your guys' lives, that's for sure. I'm curious from a growth perspective when it comes to football in our community. Like, what's lacking, you think? Is it accessibility? Is it like we don't have enough fields? Is it? I love that you guys mentioned that earlier, that you train year round, because that was one thing when I played. There was no indoor facilities. 100%. You stopped, and kids typically played soccer. Then you go and play hockey in the winter, whatever it is. Now it's a year round sport. Like, where do you see from a community perspective where we're maybe lacking to get more people involved in it?
Yeah, you know what, and shout out to the clubs and the city, because there's a lot of love for football and everyone's trying their different angles, but it really comes down to fields and facilities. You saw Parkinson. I just drove by.
I just saw that today.
They're ripping it. And I know they're improving it, and I think they're adding a couple fields, so they're going in the right direction. But it is a continuous challenge. And I'm more of, you could talk about indoor facilities and actual field space. I'm more of the little things like proper bathrooms, change rooms, where you see adults changing on the side of the field. I want to lobby our governing bodies to say, here's the standards for a 20-30 proper pitch. And you're seeing it in the larger communities, But I think there's an opportunity for all the clubs in this region to come together and have a facilities for everyone to just increase it, because I'm in real estate.
That's right.
It's not easy getting field space,
no.
and that's going to be an ongoing challenge in the community, but it's one that can be solved. And Parkinson is a great example, and a shout out to everyone involved with that. We're just not patient because it's going to take a couple years.
For sure, it doesn't get built overnight. So I'm curious, like, I know you're I would say, at the start of this journey, but where do you see this? Where do you guys want to be? And even if we just, like, you talked about goals, like, let's say that short term, next 2 to 3 years, like, where's your vision? Where do you want to be?
Crystal, go ahead.
I know Ezra's vision. I mean, for me, it's just continuing creating a space for these players, these people to feel safe, to develop. Of course, we have these big visions and dreams about a stadium, which, it's there, but it's really bringing the level of quality, the level of professionalism in this region, and continuing from a different level. Because I think that if we are all operating in this elevated state, we can do things.
Helps
it's
everybody.
like, where's the collaboration? Let's collaborate. Let's come to the table and put on our brains and actually have a professional conversation on how can we work together to continue to raise that level of play in our region.
Love it.
We could easily go down the road of player development and this and that, but for me, it's relationships. The friends I've met, we don't go to the pub and have a pint anymore and shoot billiards like we used to maybe. It's the relationships. I've got a whole bunch more friends than I've ever had, and I only see those relationships deepening. And if we want to talk about mental health and happiness, I've never been happy. I had a business meeting. Ezra, how you doing? I've never been happier. Ezra, you're always happy. And, my family makes me happy. My business world is very successful. But that football thing, it's just got this little extra step. And for me, do I want to see the club a little bit bigger? Maybe, like just to round it out. Would I like to see more female programming, accessible programming? Those are those things that really get me excited. But the deep relationships now and in the future is really, it's a whole new level, because I wouldn't have said that 10 years ago. 10 years ago, it was all about little Billy and little Jenny getting better. And now it's a bit more of a bigger picture for me. I've got an over 35 game tonight, and I am thrilled to go.
That's love it.
Because when are you going to call 18 of your buddies to hang out? You're not.
You never do.
But you all go run at each other and yell at each other, and all have
hopefully don't get injured.
But I think there's a whole, like, I think you're saying, like, I get, like, the family and work side, but what this does, I think we talked at the start of the conversation, is getting the kids out physically, mentally, just being outside. They've lost that, especially kids that went through COVID, that lost a lot of that, right? And now, like, to get them back out and actually doing something. And I love, because I follow football, but I love when when the Canadian national team, men and women's team, do well. It follows, right? Like basketball had that surge when the Raptors won the championship, right? All the kids wanted to play basketball, right? So hockey's always there, but I think having the success and having those kids on the field is just, even like you said, it's a sport you can play when you're 60 if you want. 100%. Like, it's a sport you can carry for the rest of your life, right? And no matter where you move in the world, there's football, right? You can grab a ball and play. So I think there's more. I love the mental side for the kids. I get the community, and I love what you're saying. You build relationships and stuff, but from the kids' side, I think it's missing. Like, I think it's really missing nowadays, right? So
we all know if you go for a hard run, it's hard at the moment, but how do you feel for the rest of the day?
100%.
And
I feel tired. So I'm not
we battle the electronics.
No, for sure.
And there's got to be there's the balance of just that. We're not spring chickens anymore. Where we look at it a bit more, and if we can instill that at a young age, it's. I just coached 3-year-olds the other day.
I love it.
Adore. Hi, coach. And you're just like. For me, that bigger picture, it's not about us, it's not about the club, it's much bigger. And what an awesome community here in Kelowna. I'm from Nanaimo. I still call Nanaimo hometown.
Sure.
But Kelowna, even though I've been here 10, 15 years, like, what an awesome community.
Yeah, for sure.
And everyone wants to come here. Yeah. And so let's keep getting together.
If we had to build a stadium, where would you build it here? Because I have an idea.
That's a controversial.
Is it?
Yeah.
City Park.
It is You nailed it.
Yeah.
And it's not a big stadium.
Nope.
Because in
But
Canada,
imagine the backdrop.
it's the whole thing. You build a half stadium.
Yeah.
You build
Oh my
4
gosh, the
change rooms right
backdrop.
where that park. You're not evading anyone's lake view.
Yeah.
And it's intimate. Look at the backdrop. You do only 2,000-3,000 people. We talked about Pacific FC and what they did at Langford.
Yeah.
We've got something going because it's in the
Correct.
heart of the community.
Yeah.
Tourism, restaurants, people are going to look by and go, what's going on over there? I want to check it out. You absolutely nailed it. It's
Love
City
it.
Park,
Let's do
intimate, live. You can pull it off. Anybody wants to chat about it?
Let's start
hit
lobbying.
me.
Let's do it.
go. You want to be the coolest mayor, city councilor in the whole town?
I love it.
That's the spot. And
Yeah,
nothing against
yeah.
the Apple Bowl.
No,
it's just
no,
it's a little
for sure.
removed, and you
I
can't
agree.
have a track around a pitch. It needs to
no.
be. In Canada, it needs to be entertaining,
Yeah,
and
I
you need
agree.
to be up and
Yeah,
close.
and I agree. I think that Langford Stadium basically put here with that backdrop. Like, who would want to come play here?
Oh my goodness!
Like, imagine that. That'd be at nighttime, the lake in the background.
Lights.
Oh my
You
gosh.
walk to the match from, Curious Cafe.
Yeah.
Good plug there. Where
Yeah.
all of that. You have the
No, I
little,
know.
you have the Lakesiders or what you want to call
for
it.
sure, yeah.
You see it already in the MLS. The culture's here.
Right. Yeah.
And now it's just putting those pieces in place, and
Love it.
we're going to see it in our lifetime.
I hope so.
Hopefully
I
at City
excited.
Park.
Yeah, would love to as well. Ezra, Crystal, thank you so much.
Thank
I
you.
enjoyed the discussion. I could talk longer, and if you
my
ever want to come
Oh
back
my
on and
goodness.
talk soccer or whatever, let's do it anytime. So, if people want to know more, what's the best way for them to connect with you guys, find more information, and learn more what you do?
Absolutely. So we have our Instagram at Kelowna City FC. It's the best place to stay engaged, watch our stories, what's happening. We do have a website right now. We are transitioning into our fall programming
Okay,
year-round
cool.
launch. So there's
Okay.
lots of updating programs happening there, and
Okay.
summer, and so exciting.
yeah.
So check us out. If any questions, we just have such an open communication
Cool.
forum
There's the
here.
website
There's
up,
the
so,
website right there. And, reach out, ask questions. You can reach out through social media
Okay.
or through our email admin at Kelowna City FC.
Okay.
But no question is, unwelcome. We
Yeah,
just
for
welcome
sure.
all communication.
And you don't have to play football to be part of our club.
Oh, 100%.
So if you just reach
that's a
out
good
and
point.
how
That's a
can
good
I
point.
be involved in whatever capacity, just email us.
Love it. It's a good. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Good people doing good things.
Yeah.
We've got Kelowna City Club, and it's one of our pieces that we haven't launched yet, but
Okay.
it's really about community involvement, getting businesses involved, really creating a network of good humans just wanting to develop and create community together. So
Love it.
that's up and coming.
Well, if we can help in any way, we're here to support that.
Thanks
for having us.
You have our help for sure.
It's been a pleasure.
So thank you for coming. Thank you again for anyone that's listening. We always say, please share and like these because this is how we get the word out. And like I said, if you want more information, Instagram or KelownaCityFC.com. And thank you. This is exciting. And thank you for everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day and see you next time. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Take care.
guys.
Community Spotlight, powered by ATB Wealth Kelowna. Ready to take a powerful step towards the future you want today? Connect with local advisors at ATB Wealth Kelowna to get started.